Namaskar and welcome to In Focus. Amongst the many problems facing the country today, perhaps amongst the most serious is the predicament facing Indian imports and exports. With the figures steadily declining, what is the government going to do to reverse this trend, and to what extent will it take on board the advice of the trading community? Here to answer those questions is the Commerce Minister, B B Ramaiah. Mr. Ramaiah, let me begin by talking about the import-export situation. By all assessments, it seems that exports this year will grow by perhaps just about 10% compared to almost 22% last year. Imports, on the other hand, will perhaps grow by no more than 6% compared to 25% last year. As Commerce Minister, how do you respond to that?
Well, I can tell you one thing. There is what is called international recession in this export-import market. From 9% international trade has come down to 5%. And there is a recession all over. But specifically for our country, there are particular items in which we have some negative growth due to environmental problem, due to specific reasons like leather industry, gem and jewelry. Specific items are there. That's why we are trying to work out what is the method of how we should improve on each one of them. There are some other items like credit squeeze, financial availability, interest cost. And these items we are isolating separately, individually, and we are inviting each department or each commodity people and interacting with them. Though we have export promotion councils and board of trade councils, they are also talking something. I want to have more detailed analysis. That's why each wise we are doing it. Just now I had interaction with Russians also. The traditional market of our export to Russia and the CIA countries of tea and tobacco, some of the traditional items, also affected due to their economy. So we are also finding alternate markets for those things.
Minister, you began by saying that perhaps the center of the problem is the decrease in world trade. But you know, India only has a 0.62% of world trade.
Yes.
And if our exports are down to half, and if our imports are down to practically a quarter in growth terms, then the international recession can't be to blame.
No, because international recession is going to biggest effect on this. Ours is so small on that. But this is still, as I said, our internal problems like what happened. The availability of credit and the interest cost, and some commodities in which we have environmental problem, and some other items in which we have various issues in which we have to face the difficulties like gem and jewelry. International price has come down for the...
Okay, I want very much to talk about what one does to put this problem right. But before we move on to that, give me a sense of how serious you think it is. Would you agree this is serious?
Well, this is a serious matter because that's why we have asked Reserve Bank. The Reserve Bank has already come forward. They removed it. They allowed the more financial available to the bank. Liquidity has improved substantially, and now.
But this is a serious situation. There's no getting away from that fact.
No, but we are able to slowly get out of it because we are trying to find out how best we can see. For example, leather industry is facing because of the environment problem. We are already put a number of effluent treatment plant with the both Tamil Nadu government, our finance ministry.
Minister, you say we're able to get out of it. But of course, the extent to which we get out of it and the speed with which we get out of it depends upon what you do about it. So let me turn to that, because it all hinges upon the actions you take. FIEO complains considerably about what they call procedural delays and paperwork. They say, for instance, that to claim the drawback under the EDI scheme, one has to fill in 31 documents. To claim duty exemption under the EPCG scheme, you have to fill in 10 sets of documents 6 times at 6 different stages. This is excessive, isn't it?
Well, that's the reason why I said I'm interacting with people and trying to come out with the... In fact, I'm meeting again Board of Trade also. And we're trying to come out 9th 5-year plan. This is a new exim policy which we are going to finalize by end of March. We'll take care of some of these things.
But will this new policy cut down the paperwork?
Well, we cannot say now, but we are working out in various methods.
Now, why can't you? You're the Commerce Minister.
Well, because we said we have to interact with both Finance Ministry, Industry Ministry,
is it
electronic
your wish
industry,
to cut down the paperwork?
Without convincing them, I cannot give you all the final thing because I'm working out in different interministerial, interstate level, so many other things I'm working out. I will come out with substantial amount of reduction of some of these things.
You know, I'm trying to think of what a senior member of the trading community hearing you speak would think. He's going to say, the minister sounds like a bureaucrat. I'm interacting, I'm thinking, I have to wait for other people. He's not giving a straight response. You're Commerce Minister. They look upon you for decisive action. Can't you say, yes, we will cut down the paperwork?
So that's what I said. I'm planning on the same direction, but I also have to convince other people who are in the other department.
But is it your wish that the paperwork should be cut?
That is the aim on which I'm doing it.
Okay.
But I don't want to tell people without first cutting all these things done in my hand.
What if they don't allow you to cut it down? What will you do then?
No, but I said I'm working for different methods. That's why I said, that's why alternatives also keeping ready with me.
You're hopeful you'll succeed?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. Much more important than the procedural wrangles and the paperwork is the question of tax. Virtually every importer and exporter that you speak to says that MAT has seriously affected export profits, and it's also created an adverse psychological environment. As Commerce Minister, do you accept the need to scrap MAT?
Well, in fact, you must have seen what happened immediately after the budget. I have taken the issue with the Finance Minister, a number of interactions I have done it, and I have given so much information on which whenever I ask for it, and still we are following it, and we are hopeful that we can achieve something by this budget.
As Commerce Minister, do you want it scrapped?
Well, that is my aim.
To have it scrapped? Not amended, but scrapped?
That is what I am trying.
Okay. What has been the response of the Finance Minister?
Well, that is what I said, because after all, this is going to the cabinet decision, and he has to come to the cabinet, and he has to take his final decision on that.
So it won't be his decision, the cabinet will decide?
Yeah, of course.
Do you have the support of the Prime Minister in scrapping MAT?
Well, of course.
So the Prime Minister is on your side?
I mean, I don't want to say no, but he has to work on both sides. He cannot say on one side or the other side.
Also, but okay.
Yeah, because
you can't say it officially, but unofficially you have his support.
He is trying to use his good office maximum that's possible.
You sound as if you're saying that you want to scrap MAT, the Prime Minister is on your side and he's using his good offices, but that the Finance Minister is resisting it. Is that right?
No, what I said, because he has his own problems of financing and other things required, that's why he has to working out his own methods, how we should get over by this and get other revenues for them.
Do you think you and the Prime Minister will succeed in convincing Mr. Chidambaram to scrap MAT?
Well, I don't want to make any commitment now. Because
no, don't make a commitment, but tell me, do you think you'll succeed?
Before the budget, when he is doing an exercise, I don't want to make comments on this, you see.
You've made a lot of comments, Minister. Just answer one last question for me. Do you think you'll succeed?
Well, I said, we hope to do it.
You hope you'll succeed. Okay, let me push you on something else. Exporters and importers in particular, want the 2% surcharge on imports removed.
Well, the 2% surcharge on imports is specifically as doing for infrastructure development. See, infrastructure development has become absolutely necessary in the country. Without infrastructure, you see, the country cannot go exports and imports. Both sides is affecting. So we feel that is going important, you see, because the delays in causing the hindrances that's causing at the ports or roads or rails or whatever it is.
So what you're saying
is costing more than 10% of the damages, because by paying 2%, if we can able to utilize it and back, it will be more gain for these people.
So what you're saying is keep the import surcharge because it actually helps infrastructure, and without the import surcharge, infrastructure won't improve.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, then let's come to something else. A lot of exporters want you to heavily reduce the 20 crore threshold in the EPCG scheme. They say, for instance, that small exporters would be greatly assisted if they could import capital goods at either 0 or 15% duty offset against future exports. Can you push for the reduction of that threshold?
Well, I have the sympathy on that.
And what will you do?
We can come by end of March. We'll see what I'm going to do.
So regardless of what Mr. Chidambaram thinks about reducing the 20 crore threshold, you will push for it?
Well, I said I'm sympathetically considering it.
And you also said that at the end of March we'll see action.
Yeah.
That means we will see a reduction.
Well, I think you are taking conclusions, but I would like to say keep it easy, because I want to interact with people.
All right, let me put something to you. You've been extremely open, you've been extremely frank on MAT, on the reduction of the threshold. You fairly clearly said to me that you're in favor of scrapping MAT, and you will push for the threshold to come down, and it will come down. But many of these things also depend upon the Finance Minister implementing. To what extent are you confident today that he will implement these things and that there won't be resistance?
Well, I think we'll always interact with each other. Whatever we want to plan, we want to have interaction with each other.
But does it remain only at the conversation level, or do you manage to convince him, and is there action?
Well, that depends upon between us.
But this time, you're confident and hopeful.
Well, let me leave it to me. I will look after that.
Of course, I'll leave it to you, Minister. We have to. But the one word that people want to hear from you
is not too long to wait for that word.
But you're confident.
That's why I say it is not too long for them to wait for that word.
But you are confident.
Well, let me leave it.
All right. Let me then come to the last issue, which is something which is critical to importers and exports, but it's sadly something that's not immediately within your control as export minister. That is the high cost of money. Today, interest rates in India on average are 4% above what they are internationally, which becomes critical after the end of the 180-day cheap credit period. Are you in favor of the government doing everything to bring down interest rates?
Well, in fact, if you recollect, in my earlier Export Promotion Council meeting and the Board of Trade meeting, the exporters made a request to me saying for 90 days they are giving a cheaper money. After 90 days, if it exceeds even 1 day or 2 days also, they are charging for entire period at a higher bank rate. So they wanted me that I should see the 90 days period should be blocked and should not be touched, and they can charge higher interest rate after 90 days. But on the contrary, what they asked for it, I had an interaction with the Reserve Bank and I negotiated with them, convinced them I could make it 90 days blocked at the interest rate of 13%, and I also negotiated another 90 days at 15%. After that only I said it is going to the bank rate, which has been much better than what they anticipated. Any time it is a surprise for them and they are very happy about it.
Quite right, but now they want a little bit more.
I said, but now they came to me because we are able to do it and also made the liquidity, the finance has been improved. The bank rate has come down. That's why not to also still reduce our rate also on that. That's what they want. So we are going to have again another interaction because we did much better. So we are trying to take the next step out also on that.
And here again, you'll try and do whatever you can.
Well, we have to work out and see. So what I say, promise something, I'll try to do something better than that. So I don't want to commit to them.
You sound like a very friendly minister towards importers and exporters. Is that what you intend to be?
This is Commerce Ministry itself is a friendly ministry for all exporters, importers or business.
You are their big champion at the moment, aren't you?
Well, we have to. That is what I was supposed to be traditionally.
Also, if you don't champion them, you won't reverse the downtrend in imports and exports. Isn't that right?
Well, I think that is our responsibility. We'll take care of it.
Okay, there is one thing, however, that's much more difficult to take care of, and that is the real serious problem of infrastructure. The power shortage, which adds to cost. The incredible delays in ports, which not only adds to cost, but it loses import and export orders. What do you do about that?
Well, that is the reason why before the budget last time itself, in my first interaction with the Finance Minister, I made it emphasis on the infrastructure. That's why he has made the conditions on which infrastructure made very attractive. First of all, we said it should be privatized because government cannot take it. Then second thing, we said it will be interest, completely 100% tax exemption for a longer period. Even the borrowed money also they are exemption, which has become one of the outstanding type of attractive terms they are given mainly to develop infrastructure. Now the number of countries are coming forward because after looking at these things, they are showing some countries are showing on port development, some countries are doing road development, some countries are doing power development, some are coming on different type of thing, airports. I think now with a few weeks
but
or months.
Will the left allow you to accept these offers that are coming in?
Well, you can see now the power projects which were delayed, now we said state governments can do it without even coming to central government for only information. But like we are trying to simplify those things. We are wherever we find. For example, the highways, they said land acquisition problem. That's also made.
Is this a top priority?
Top priority.
And will you be able to get your way past the CPI and CPM?
Well, they are also supporting the infrastructure.
Yes, but they have a habit of supporting one and then contradicting the next day. They do it all the time.
In spite of that, we are going ahead with our schemes. We have also set the 51% level, direct foreign investment, 74% foreign investment, number of insurance licenses has been removed. You know, all these things we are doing.
In which case, my favorite question yet again, Minister, are you confident again?
Well, I am quite confident.
All right, at that point, I'm going to have to take a commercial break, but I want to come back and continue this discussion in part 2. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Please don't go away. Welcome back. Minister, in part 1, we talked about the nitty-gritty issues affecting import and exports. I want now to talk about the big picture affecting your government. The United Front government was specifically put together to keep out the BJP. Yet recently, a nationwide opinion poll of almost 13,000 people has found that if an election were to be held today, the BJP and its allies would win 240 seats and virtually come to power. Doesn't that mean that the United Front has failed in its primary purpose of keeping out the BJP?
Well, that is what some people may say, but we can see the performance that we are doing now. Even yesterday when we opened the office, we find all of them have unitedly, they are trying to see that they want to progress it, develop this, and implement whatever the commitment are there. There are people who have maybe apprehensions whether they will do it or not. But now we can prove that we can able to fulfill those obligations, fulfill those promises what were given, very definitely.
It's all a question of performance and fulfilling obligations.
That is one of the items that which people are looking for.
What has been your assessment of the last 9-10 months in office?
Well, it's only last 8 months is over. That's what I say. Let's say first 2 months it requires for infrastructure, coordination, consolidation, all these things. But last 4-5 months you can look at it what happened.
Kishan Singh Surjit is on record as saying the performance is poor.
No, because that's what people say. But on the other hand, people does not realize what exactly done. As I said, if you look at it on the side of economy, what I said earlier about this, 51%, 74%, even the licensing system that have removed, and 380 to 400 applications of foreign investment has been cleared, more than $5 billion, which never happened 5 to 6 years in less than 3 months.
I grant you that great achievement has been made in your ministry and great achievement has been made in the industry ministry. But look at the same poll again. The same poll says that 73% of the country thinks that your government has failed to control prices. Pretty close to 65% of the country thinks you failed to remove poverty.
Well, you see, you can't expect that poverty can be removed in 5 months or 6 months. That is not so easy, but because people must be expecting so much.
But do you expect such a high failure rate? 73%, 65%?
No, but that's why the people should be educated. People should be known what would happen, because that is what I say. Probably the performance has not been well represented to the common people, or people doesn't know what it is. And I can tell you in the case of this infrastructure, what you said, we have made it earlier is only government, then we made it all private sector. We removed from the government sector. And we also, when the power project delayed, we also made it separated, give it to state government to do it. Some of these policies in which we are doing it, as and when we find some problems are there, we're taking quick decisions, we're going ahead with those things.
But the problem is, Minister, that the decisions you're taking aren't actually filtering down and changing the impression people have of the government. Let me come back to this poll. The poll said that 53% of the country, 9 months or 8 months after the United Front government had come into being, preferred a single-party rule to a coalition. Now, that is a serious indictment of the government.
Well, you can understand what I said earlier also, because people may be expecting too fast, too high results. But this is going to be 13-member coalition, requires to be coordinated, and also they have to project in these things. In spite of what is happening, we are moving in the right direction, we are moving the right way we was passing through, and we can understand how much amount of various projects are likely to come, more and foreign investments are likely to come very soon.
Let me put something to you. You're one of the most successful ministers in this government, and I don't say that to flatter you. You've also pushed hard and done a lot for your area and jurisdiction. Do you wish that some of your ministerial colleagues had worked harder, had concentrated more on their departments and less on politics?
Well, I can't make any comments on those things.
Oh, it sounds as if you made a comment, you'd be critical.
Well, it's not because of that, because I only concentrate on the ministry much more than anything else. The Prime Minister is looking after the whole overall picture.
Minister, you have eyes, you have ears, you're just being discreet,
well, in spite of that, because my job has become so heavy, you can see this morning what has happened. Right, it have not in 1 minute of overlapping time. You have to go on, concentrate, and one after another, and see that you have to concentrate on those things.
Let me interpret you. Many people will hear you say what you just said. They'll look at your smiling eyes, they'll see your smiling face, and they'll say, Mr. Ramaiah wanted to say, I wish my colleagues had worked harder, concentrated on their work and not on politics. But poor man, he can't say that.
Well, that is what their impression probably, that is what they could look at it.
And you're not denying that they would be correct if they said it?
Well, I don't want to make any comments, as I said earlier.
Thank you, Minister. I won't push you further. I think you've made it clear. Okay, let me come to what perhaps is the most serious impression formed in the country, and once again it's borne out by that opinion poll. The opinion poll said that 47% of the country believe that the Prime Minister can't keep the coalition together, and 3 times as many people thought Atal Bihari Vajpayee was a better Prime Minister than Deva Gowda.
Well, I don't want to make any comments on those things, because performance will come only because after some time. We can't express in such a short time.
Well, let me push you a little further. The most damning verdict about Mr. Deva Gowda was the fact that 63% of the poll thought he should be replaced as Prime Minister.
Well, I don't think I can able to make any comments on those things.
Tell me something. In not making a comment, you sound as if you're understanding, sympathetic of this poll outcome.
Well, I don't think so, because people assessment, you see, whatever going on happened because they may not have enough information, enough data available to them. As you said, they're expected too much in such a short time, which might have been reflected on those things. Because see, the results will come at own time. See, if we plant the tree today, it will not give a result tomorrow. Because people should have the patience to wait and see until it gets the fruits on that.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Were you defending Mr. Devagowda just now? Because I didn't notice it.
Well, I said, it's not a question of defending or offending, because I said this is what generally people should be able to wait and see.
And you seem to be suggesting also that if people have this opinion of him, well, then maybe it's because they haven't got enough information, maybe because the beginning was all confused, but you're not saying that they are wrong to have this opinion.
Well, I said that's why, because if they have to wait and see again, they may have some other time, they may have different opinion also.
Let me ask you a straight question. The credibility and reputation of the Prime Minister is absolutely critical to the credibility and survival of this government. Do you personally think the time has come to change Prime Ministers?
Well, I don't agree that.
You don't agree the time has come? Let me put it differently. Given his vast experience in handling coalition governments and given his unrivaled administrative experience, do you think Mr. Jyoti Basu made a mistake in turning down the Prime Ministership when it was offered to him?
Well, that is a party decision. How can I able to interfere into the party decision?
You are a thinking man, you're an honest man, it's your opinion that I'm interested in. There are so many people who want to hear what B B Ramaiah thinks.
No, you see, because Jyoti Basu's opinion is not his own opinion, it is the party's opinion.
Was the party wrong?
Well, whatever it is, because that is internal problem of the party. How can I go on the interpretation on those
No,
things?
you're a thinking man. You're entitled to an opinion. You're entitled to share it with others.
Well, I said because I think that is the party opinion. I can't able to contradict what the party says.
Would you wish, personally speaking, that he had accepted?
Well, I don't know about it because that depends upon because what happens, how it happens.
But you sound as if you're saying to me, it would have been nice if he'd accepted.
Well, I don't make any comment on that.
This is very interesting, Mr. Ramaiah. People sitting and listening to you will say, he hasn't put up much of a defense of Mr. Devagowda. In fact, he sounded very understanding of why people are critical of Mr. Devagowda. Then we switched to Jyoti Basu, and he didn't say that he would have preferred Jyoti Basu to be Prime Minister, but he left the matter open. You're playing a very careful ball game with me, aren't you?
I think you are trying to put something which is an unusual type of thing that we should, because I always play very little in politics. I only play my part even in the development work.
This is why I'm so keen to get your opinion.
That is even my profession also. I always concentrate on that, very little on the politics side. But I only accidentally came to politics. That's why I said I may never make any comments on the political side. Even if you look at my canvas in the election side, I never criticize the candidate or anything else. Only I say what I can do, what I
But do you realize that by not making a straightforward comment, you're nonetheless leaving yourself wide open to suggestive interpretation?
No, that's why I said, because that's why I've never made any political comments. Always I just, I'm only technical side. I'm a technocrat. So I always believe what is the technocrat, what the development should done in the country. That is my main concentration. That's why my department...
development depends upon leadership, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course. That's why it's my department. I will try to do the best that is possible.
Let me put my last question to you. Given the situation the country faces today, given that the survival of the United Front government is important, if for no other reason, then you are determined to keep the BJP out, and at the moment you're not succeeding. For all those reasons, do you think the time has come when the steering committee should once again look at the question of who should be Prime Minister of the UF government?
Well, I don't think so, because they're all working together. If you look at it yesterday when they were opening the office, everybody was trying to coordinating. They're all working very happily, and they said that they want to say that they should coordination work well, they should work more efficiently, they should have more interaction probably than what they had earlier. They think that they can do much better than what happened earlier.
And you're happy to leave it there?
If you are there at the yesterday when they opened the office for the United Front office, the purpose is that we want to now feel that there is a time for us to open an office, and we should be able to coordinate every day on those issues.
All right, but
so that we should
we're going to have to leave it there. Let that be the official answer you've given. Many people, however, will think that earlier on you gave us an unofficial answer where you left the matter far more open. Thank you very much for speaking so openly to In Focus. That's it this week. We'll be back next week with another interviewee. But for today, from the Commerce Ministry, goodbye.